Hello and welcome to What We're Watching. I'm Catherine.
I'm Liz.
And I'm Ed.
And John.
Okay, so I'd like to start off with
all right, go for it.
a bunch of stuff that is in progress. A lot of times we talk about stuff that we finished so we can fully recommend. Like, I've watched the whole thing. I love it, whatever.
I've got the same plan. I'm like halfway through 8 things right now.
Yeah, okay. Well, we can't talk about all of the things. Maybe we could. Maybe we could just do a quick mention of and here is the list of everything that I am currently involved in. But I do want to talk about some stuff that just came back that is very exciting, that I'm pretty sure other people at the table are watching. So first of all, Westworld just came back, which is super exciting. We're watching it as a group. So it's my husband and John and, that's it. Okay, so that's the group. I don't know.
Jeez.
I mean,
but we are all watching it, correct?
Yeah.
I
Ed, are you?
haven't started the season yet, no.
Okay.
Season 4.
Yes, correct. Season 4.
Season 4.
On HBO.
Right. So on HBO, season 4, we're just getting started. It won't be super long because, they don't do extremely long seasons. But
True.
Already, I'm very into it. And it was very funny, though, because this is not really a spoiler, but Eric was watching and he did not recognize Evan Rachel Wood because she had dark hair. And then he was confused because he was like, well, is she still Dolores? Or I'm like, well, honey, no, they're calling her a different name.
I mean, so the confusion, I think, is part of the...
That's part of the appeal, right?
I hope, because if it isn't on purpose, then...
I just remember that very first season, how mind-bendy it was to realize that there were multiple timelines happening and who was who in what time, and it was very cool. Anyway, so just a quick mention that Westworld is back and watching it, and there you go.
And we'll definitely continue talking about it throughout the season's drop, because it's got probably another month left.
Oh, yeah. It'll be...
Maybe 2 months?
Yeah.
Ed Harris is now more grizzly than ever.
He did not look well.
Well, his character is not supposed to be well.
Yeah, well, he looked very
He's just getting
thin
old,
and old. Yeah.
So give him a break.
Okay, well,
He's not a robot. He's aging.
That's true.
How dare he?
Evan Rachel Wood did look really good. She's super gorgeous.
Something I thought was interesting that I discovered was one of the writers of this series is Jonathan Nolan, who is Christopher Nolan's brother.
Oh, yeah. That's something that I've known since the beginning. His wife, Lisa Joy, is very involved as well. I guess they're co-showrunners, or I'm not sure.
And he also did another show that Catherine loved, Person of Interest.
Oh, I did like Person of Interest.
Wasn't that like a CBS or ABC show?
Yeah, I do want to say CBS.
Yeah, it was CBS. I watched it. I've actually watched that series twice.
What?
Yeah, whatever. I really enjoyed the conspiracy side of it, and then you go back and you're like, right, but these characters are kind of fun. It's like watching an old Law and Order. You're like, oh yeah, no, this episode, that bad guy, that's great. But the side character stories are awesome too.
Yeah.
Well, Michael Emerson was the leader of
Michael
that.
Emerson.
He's great because he was in Lost as well. He always plays creepy though.
He's on some show called
Maniacal and...
He's on a show called Evil that I...
Hence, I just said he plays a diabolical,
but
usually evil
isn't he
person.
rooting out evil or detectiving, or is he? Or no, he's on that side again.
He's okay. So the problem with Evil,
he was evil on Lost. Spoiler
No, he
alert.
wasn't. Did you watch to the end before the end of season 4?
I don't know if that
really?
redemption was valid.
He turned the wheel and reset time. Moved the island.
Begrudgingly.
Yeah, it killed him to do that, Liz. How did we get off on Lost? I'm lost on how we got on Lost.
Yeah, don't go down the Lost hole.
Come back from Lost.
It all basically stems from Lost. So many elements.
So many things. It's interesting to think that Person of Interest, so you're talking about the Jonathan Nolan connection,
right?
That was also about AI stuff, and that this is sort of like a big progression of what AI could be and what you could use it for and where it could go. And I don't know, it's kind of interesting that it was he's obviously interested in this idea. The other thing I was going to say about Evil, it was originally on CBS and then moved to just their streaming service, which was CBS All Access or whatever, and now that's Paramount Plus. And I just recently got access to Paramount Plus, so it turns out my daughter has it. So I was like, wait, what? You do? She's like, yeah, because I needed to watch RuPaul's Drag Race.
That's why I got it eventually.
Yeah, so I might be reporting back on Evil.
Was Yellowstone.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yellowstone was why everybody went, all right, okay.
Well, I mean, if you're not a Trekkie.
Yeah,
'cause
it's
that's where all
Trekkie and
your Trek's at.
Yellowstone.
Yep.
And I've definitely been trying to catch up on Discovery, which is the original series, so that I can jump into, you know, how they like triple down on the series. Like, yeah, I like that universe. Let me watch how many hours a week? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's Discovery.
Picard is also yeah, go ahead.
Discovery, Picard, and now their new one, Strange New Worlds.
Yes, and then there's an animated one, The Lower Decks, that I also want to watch because that's also like a side fun backstories.
Yeah.
In the
So
world.
you're right. Definitely Trek and Yellowstone were the main attractions on the Paramount Plus platform. But for some reason, I'm interested in Evil. So I might go and check it. Well, because I watched the first season and then I was like, what? I can't
You do
watch-
like to torture yourself.
No, like, it wasn't bad. I liked it.
You
so,
do. So you like horror? And
It wasn't really horror.
oh, it wasn't really.
Not if it's on
right.
network television. No, they soften it a bit. Although I will say, and it's one of Sarah's favorites, your daughters, the
The
series.
main evil one, Lucifer.
No, well, Lucifer is one of my favorites.
Okay.
And that wasn't really evil. Man, that devil was charming. No, it was Hannibal.
Oh, sure. Sarah loves Hannibal.
That was a network television show that I watched when it first aired. And wow, I felt they rode the line there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so that was one of the ones you're like, wow, this actually can really disturb you and kind of scare you. And network television. So yes, I guess you're right, John. Network television can go there, but I don't typically get that scared of network television.
Yeah. Speaking of gross, another thing, this is not necessarily a new thing. Everybody else might already be caught up on it, but Eric and I are watching the newest season of The Boys finally. And boy, there's some gross stuff in there. I was like, wow, this is a level of grossness I was not expecting.
Yeah, it's like somewhere between how grossed out you were by, or horrored out you were by Stranger Things. If it had like the Avengers showed up. Oh,
Yeah, it's like the level of grossness that they do in Walking Dead, where it's just like splatter body stuff. And you're like, wow, I mean, but we do like the tone of The Boys, that it's very like funny and, you know, I don't know. We like it a lot. So
Irreverent.
Yeah.
To the
So
genre.
we're watching that.
Wait, go back to Westworld for
okay.
1 minute because the actor Jimmy Simpson, who basically
Sure.
plays Ed Harris as a young man.
Yeah. I mean, we must know his name, but I always think of him.
It's William.
Man in the Black Hat. Like,
yeah, well,
Black
that's
Hat.
Ed Harris, but
Yeah.
Jimmy Simpson plays him younger, and that's William.
Right, of course. Mhm.
And I don't know why all of a sudden he's been in multiple things I've been watching.
Well, of course, because he's in Man Who Fell to Earth.
yes, which he's great in.
God, he is so
and
horrible.
then
Ugh, he's
that's
so
what I'm saying.
terrible
like, he
and
just
great.
Was kind of a
He's the biggest jerk. You're
He's
going to say Dick? Yeah,
Yes.
he's a big. I mean, he's like terrible.
Well, remember in Westworld, he wasn't a dick.
he turned into that, trying
Yeah.
to control the game.
Right, eventually.
Yeah, it literally is eroded his system, his operating board.
Yeah, now
Boy, you guys.
Now he's the man
I
in
got all technical
Oh,
on
is it
you.
the Man in Black? Do they call him the Man in Black or the Man with Black Hat? I don't know. Whatever.
Well,
And-
you're
the Man
definitely
in Black
wrong,
is Johnny
but-
Cash, so they're not using
No,
that phrase.
John, on Wikipedia, under Ed Harris's name is the Man in Black.
okay, so it is the Man in Black.
So they don't give him.
I'm wrong.
Okay, so
But we know it's him younger. The other thing, sorry, I just want to say he popped up on that
Yeah.
was nice because I think he plays these characters that have a lot of internal conflict and usually is not likable
Sure.
on some level. Somebody feed Phil.
Oh,
With
really?
Phil Rosenthal on Netflix, which I love. It's one of those shows of like I just need to like get FOMO. So sometimes it's not a good idea because of where they're traveling to and what they're eating.
Yeah, travel. You can.
And Phil's always just having a good time eating this. Ooh, ooh, bammo. Or like he has all these sayings. Just like, what are you saying, Phil?
He's just excitable.
Right. So he occasionally will run into a friend. Season 5, and he's in Mexico, and Jimmy Simpson just happens to be there.
That's amazing.
Phil and him meet up, enjoyed food, and it was very funny with his reaction, like because he was just like, "Yeah, this is good," and you're like, "What are you doing there?" I mean, like, yeah. So I mean, and with Phil, and you're like, "How would have you ever crossed paths?" But it was season 5 of Somebody Feed Phil. I even think they ate like a street cart. together.
Oh.
And of course, no one recognized either one of them there. So,
Oh, all
which
right.
you gotta love.
A little incognito.
Yeah, so it was a nice way to see Jimmy and not be evil.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. So one last thing on Westworld. Was anyone else super like jaw-dropping surprised? Is it going to be a spoiler if I say who shows up at the end of the first episode? Was it in like the trailer? Like, did people know that James Marsden?
He's back.
You couldn't have ruined it because as I was just scrolling through IMDb's already ruined it.
Oh, okay.
They have 2022 as him in the season, whereas Jimmy stops when his character stops being on the show. So I already had that.
Well, aged
I'm like,
out.
oh, Marsden's in it. Great.
Harrison,
Awesome.
yeah.
Whatever.
Okay. I was not aware. So literally that end of this first episode when he shows up, I was like, whoa.
But he's back.
Yeah.
We have no idea what's going on. We don't even know what world she's really in. It's like, is it fake? Is it real?
Oh,
so
true,
like, we have
true,
no
true,
idea
true,
what's going
true.
on.
I mean, yes, but obviously, look.
He's getting work. We like it. He's back.
I
He's
love
there.
that he's back. I'm not saying he's the same character host.
Yeah, who knows?
But he is physically, that actor is there, which is exciting.
Yeah, because that's what's starting to happen now where we don't know exactly
Who's inside?
what timeline,
Yeah.
where they are. I mean, I definitely turned once or twice I was watching with Mark as well, and said,
You mean with your husband? That's the as well
and
part.
going, where are, what
What
is
are we
happening?
doing? Yeah.
I thought he was dead.
Yeah.
But maybe his robot life is not dead and his iron skin is continuing on. I don't know. He's got to go with it.
Yeah, we're not going to know for a long time.
The Nolans like to do some real complicated stuff that might just need an explainer as you watch it. Jeez.
Well, I mean, if the first season or the subsequent seasons are any indication, they don't like to fully explain anything till the end anyway. So you're on the ride for, is it 8 episodes or whatever it is this season, and just try not to question too hard until it's over. Okay, so the other thing that came back, well, there's 2 things for sure that I want to touch on that came back. Umbrella Academy and Only Murders in the Building.
Yes, I'm watching Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, I'm not caught up because obviously Netflix did the full drop, so you could finish it already, but I'm not.
2 in.
Yeah.
But, loving it, yet also confused. I'm going to address this something because I watched something this week where I'm like, okay, showrunner, producers, writers, chill out. But I did love that opening scene where they went to battle. And unexpectedly, it was a dance battle.
Yeah.
And it went on significantly
It went on
long.
a long
I
time.
was like, that took a lot of choreography.
Yeah, it was surprising. And then it did resolve why it was a dance battle. You're like, oh, okay, that's fine. I was like, wait, did we just really break the mold on this show that we're saying there is dancing? No, okay.
But I liked that in both universes, although choices were made that could have changed the course of history, that did not affect Footloose.
yeah.
I was like, so Footloose
They were
still
all able to,
existed. Learn that dance and know it exactly the same. So
Well-
Footloose is the cockroach of the multi-universe and can exist no matter what.
Right.
There's a reason why there's a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Because things like that, he is like a fixed point in our universe 441 or whatever we are in.
Sure. I mean, that is probably why Kevin Bacon is such a big deal. He's all over the place, including Footloose. So,
And there was, luckily, they did a season recap at the beginning of it.
Oh, yeah. Thank goodness for me. I was
And
like,
for
wait,
some
what
bizarre
happened?
reason, Mark does not care to watch that. But Ethan and I are like, well, especially I'm like, I don't remember. Like that the dad's an alien, supposedly.
Yeah. I mean,
I would never have remembered that.
I wouldn't
without
have
the recap.
remembered, but as soon as it popped up, I was like, oh, yeah, I mean, that's a lot of times how I watch the previously ons or the previous season recaps or whatever. It's just a lot of, oh, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, thank you. Yes, right, okay, oh, this is a significant thing that I need to remember? Okay, because I would not remember most things.
I'll also say the Sparrow Academy, which I'm not going to spoil alert, but there is a Sparrow Academy. Those members were real jerks, like coming in hot out of the gate.
Yeah, they were.
Wouldn't you want to ask some questions? I mean, they
No.
seem to be like, get out, moving on. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And let's just say there was one death early on that I always say, oh my God. You can just imagine as the actor, like, I got cast in the Umbrella Academy. I'm so excited. Blah, blah, blah. Read the script. Wah, wah, son of a bitch. Like,
Man, I got the Sean Bean role. All right. That's
out
all right.
early.
All right.
Yes.
I'd like to go to the rap party.
I think the other thing that's been very significant, just watching these first couple episodes, is dealing with Elliot Page's transition has been done incredibly well, which makes me very happy that that is handled in a good way. Yeah, so I'm glad that the show is back, and I'm glad that it's off to a good start, at least for me. I'm only 2 episodes in, so I still got a little ways to go,
Right.
but I'll check back when I'm completely done. So,
And shout out, I love Robert Sheehan, who plays Klaus.
oh, sure.
And I'm not going to spoiler alert anything other than saying an actor that I loved from Euphoria, Javon Walton, is in the series now,
All right.
playing Stan.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, they're just, you know what I love? It's just a big ensemble fun cast.
Oh, yeah. And they're just chewing up the scenery. They're having a great time. And I love the design of it. The look of it is just
it's
incredible.
great, yeah.
And they do a good job with music, and I don't know. It's great. Okay, so then skip to Only Murders in the Building Season 2. Oh my gosh. I was so excited to get going on that. I mean, Hulu's doing the one
a
at a
week.
time, which is a little frustrating. I think they might have, did they have 2 out in the beginning? But it's going to put the brakes on a little bit, which is nice, so that you can't just devour it all at once.
Well, I can't get enough of Martin and Martin.
Oh,
so I
they
went
are.
to the Hollywood Bowl last night
Oh,
and
nice.
saw it's Steve Martin with Martin Short.
What?
Yeah.
Did Maya Rudolph show up? That's all I need to know.
No, they
I'm
had.
shocked.
They really didn't have any special guests.
It was just the 2 of them.
Steve Martin has a group, a musical group that he performs with because he comes out and does banjo.
And harmonica or just banjo?
Just banjo.
okay.
I was surprised there was no harmonica, but just banjo. And they perform with him, and they're fantastic too. And they're, they both do their own individual bits and then together. And
Love it.
yeah, I mean, very tight show. And it's just shocking. They're both in their 70s. And they are just
killing
I mean,
it.
Martin
They're so
Short
great.
is like jumping up on pianos, right across the stage. I mean, it is super impressive. Their banter back and forth is so crisp and sharp. And they met on The Three Amigos. So they've known each other well over 30 plus years.
They met during the
Yes.
Three Amigos? I am
up here.
shocked.
You can all look. This is what's funny. Last night when I said that to Mark and Ethan, they both went, no, Saturday Night Live. I said,
Wrong.
no. I said, I have actually watched a documentary, and I think I might have read, one of them has a book out that I read a few years ago. And they talk about meeting on Three Amigos, and they talk about how Martin Short was kind of down on his luck. He was lucky to be cast in The Three Amigos.
Wow, that's crazy.
So the other amigo being Chevy Chase, he felt like, I'm like sort of the newbie and I got to prove my stuff. And he just clicked with Steve Martin, but they had not met until that time.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then they've been friends. And
little secret cameo in that. Phil Hartman's in that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like the boss of the studio who fires him, something like that.
And of course, they ran, a couple clips that were just remind you of some of the genius characters. I mean, Steve Martin is fantastic, but Martin Short truly, truly is one of my favorites. I mean, I've seen his Broadway show in New York.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I have anything he had, that awesome show with Maya Rudolph, which was
yeah,
like
they
a
had-
variety show. He's so fantastic. Of course, they did this sort of Jiminy Glick bit.
Oh my God, I was just going to say Jiminy Glick is
Hollywood Boo.
Jiminy Glick, a character that he created who is an entertainment reporter who famously knows nothing about the person that he is interviewing and then only makes old Hollywood references.
I'll do 2 jokes. When he first did the red carpet, Martin Short put on this very heavy suit, both makeup, aesthetics, all of it. So you would not recognize him as Martin
heavy
Short.
face, body suit, the whole deal.
So I think he was doing the Emmys, and a cast member from ER
Oh, God.
comes out and he says, "What's this show you're on?"
And of course, this person that he's interviewing has no idea that this is a joke and that this is Martin Short. I can't remember who
It
it
was
was.
either George Clooney or like Julia Margulies. I mean, it was like one of the top people.
And they
they're
were like, what?
ER, emergency room? Oh, never heard of it. Like,
I mean,
Oh, and what show are you on?
yeah. Yeah.
Says you're
how
on
is
Earth.
that? It's a good show. Do people like that show?
One of the clips he played last night was with Mel Brooks. and he's interviewing Mel Brooks, and he's like, "What's your beef with the Nazis?" And Mel Brooks could not keep a straight face. He's like, "What's my beef with the Nazis?" Yeah, why are you so down on them? Like, it was just, it's so irreverent. Like, it's well worth finding on YouTube. The interviews with Jerry Seinfeld are legendary, and Larry David. I mean, it just, so he did a little bit where he analyzed people. They put celebrity photos up and he'd make comments.
Oh, God.
And the way they did it was very humorous. Sorry, it's, it was a live show, so there's no way for you to see it unless it comes to your town. If it does, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can look up Jiminy Glick, this character. It was insanely funny. It reminds me of Zach Galifianakis doing Between Two Ferns.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny because both with Zach Galifianakis and then Jiminy Glick, there are people that they're interviewing. Some of them can totally hold it together and play along with the bit, and some cannot even remotely keep from laughing. The Jiminy Glick, the bit is that he's really kind of mean, and sometimes the people are half laughing but also like combative. It's the whole vibe is so
Martin
funny.
Short did Saturday Night Live, so one of the little clips they showed was him doing a bit. It looks like he was now a guest host because it was Bill Hader. He's playing opposite Bill Hader.
Sure.
And speaking of breaking, he broke Bill Hader so bad.
I love
and he
it.
just, of course, like, Martin Short pierces,
Yeah, he holds it together no
he'll
matter
hold
what.
it together. So Only Murders in the Building on Hulu is such a pure delight of their chemistry together.
Oh, it's great.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And, we'll check back on that.
And those,
in a
they
little bit.
sold out the Hollywood Bowl. I mean, it was
Good
packed.
for them.
Which is like almost
they're
like
amazing.
18,000 people laughing, having a great time. Yeah.
How did you
I
not
think
tell me
Steve
you were
Martin's
going?
been selling out the Hollywood Bowl like his whole career, right?
I don't know how many times he's played there. I have no idea. I mean, I just saw it, and when I went to go buy tickets, it was like, I think it's the furthest back I've ever sat.
No.
And it was basically almost sold out. I mean, because it was 4th of July weekend, so they also did the awesome fireworks. And I mean, all ages, everybody enjoyed themselves because they are just total entertainers, and they're just confident in each other.
Oh, yeah. They're amazing in Only Murders in the Building, and that is a delight to watch them together. Their shenanigans that they're up to. Anyway, okay, so those are the in-progress things. Why doesn't somebody else take the baton for a second?
Ed, why don't you go?
I'll be happy to dive in on that spot. I was almost going to ask if I could, based on Martin Short. I want to throw out, I just watched Father of the Bride.
Oh my God, I was just going to say.
Why?
But not the old one with Martin Short. But that was the misdirect to get you to think about that.
Right, I was just going to say there's a remake of Father of the Bride because obviously one of Martin Short's very famous characters is
They did?
the wedding coordinator or whatever.
Why did they remake that?
Well, they did, first of all, they
It
remake
was a remake.
everything.
Father of the Bride is a remake.
Yeah,
It's
oh my
with
gosh.
Spencer Tracy.
So
right?
this is the
And Katharine
third
Hepburn,
one.
right?
And yeah, I think Katharine Hepburn. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the first one. Then this Martin Short with Steve Martin is the second one.
And Eugene Levy, right? God, as the doesn't he do construction on the house or something
I
like
don't
that?
remember that element of it.
Oh.
John is nodding, so that is
Well,
confirmation.
here's the deal. You cannot, as we, just experienced 4th of July, you cannot look a pack of hot dog buns ever the same. Why is there 7 hot dogs and 8 buns?
It's the worst.
Could these two get together? I mean, there's so many brilliant moments. B.D. Wong.
B.D. Wong.
Okay, so wait, you watched.
So I watched
So
the
there's
new
a-
one. The new one.
There's
with
a new
Andy
one.
Garcia. Fully expecting okay, well, I don't know who the goofball character is that Martin Short's, weird wedding planner. Someone's going to take that and run with it, right? No, it's a remake of the original with Spencer Tracy. So it's a real serious romp. And it was more of an emotional experience from the father's perspective and his daughter getting married, and also we're getting divorced. So,
Yes, Gloria Estefan is
Yeah.
playing his wife.
and again, going in with an expectation of a comedy, I was like, oh, there's no jokes. Oh no. Oh no, this is just kind of not serious, but a kind of more of a real vibe and what he's actually going through, and less letting you off the hook. Mostly because Andy Garcia is not Steve Martin or Martin Short, so he's not pulling that off at all. But it was actually still a very enjoyable movie experience.
Okay.
Period. Knowing what story you're going to get, this is going to be basically the Father of the Bride story. Okay, fine, no problem. but it's not a comedy. Oh, that's it. That's
Is it called Father of the Bride?
It's a full remake. It's the same remake from the previous one where it's the daughter and the father they have a great relationship, but this is, something that's going to come between them. They got to talk about it. They got to figure out, and then they're not on the same page. And then the father of the groom wants to pay, but he's super rich. So it just goes off in a different direction as far as like the background story of the movie. But it was fun to watch. I hadn't watched a trailer on it, so I didn't get a heads up that this wasn't going to be a remake of the comedy, but it was still good.
Oh, cool.
It actually makes me want to go back and watch the Steve Martin one, because Eugene Levy was actually auditioning to be a singer, it says. I don't know what that means. It's saying on Google. It could be wrong, but it makes me want to go back and actually watch it to see what he does, along with Kieran Culkin is in it. He plays Maddie as a little kid. It's so good.
That's the younger brother, I think.
Yeah. And Martin Short is genius, and B.D. Wong basically plays like his assistant in it. Is fantastic. And it's a Nancy Meyer screenplay, and I feel like she, although did not direct it, basically has her
her stamp
all over it. And I think that's the movie where I'd have to go look, but songs, I feel like this is the one where actually my girlfriend has been dating one of the guys that did the soundtrack, The Way You Look Tonight, lovely, don't you ever change. Steve Terrell, The Way You Look Tonight.
Oh, okay.
My girlfriend's been dating him now for quite a few years. He's a silver fox.
Oh, okay. All right. Back to the remake. Is Chloe Fineman, is she the wedding coordinator?
Yeah, as far as the remake goes. Like, she actually is probably the lightest part of it, because
she's from Saturday Night Live.
She brings some funny, but it's also like she's not the focus. She's not pulling a Martin Short.
That's interesting.
Like, they didn't edit it. There's not the script for her to be the Martin Short character.
They didn't give her that space.
Yeah, even if her little quirky, weird bits and moments and like navigating the family changing stuff and etc. plays into that, it's not like there's a sleeping pill moment or how many did you take? I used to take about half of a pill and then I'm okay. No, not like that level. That was fully missing. What, John? Do you have something?
I'm just trying to remember that line, and I can't quite do it, so I'm not gonna do it.
Yes, I got it very badly. You're welcome.
Nice navy suit. There's so many moments.
For sure, I saw the trailer, and I thought it was much more of a comedy with heart. So they are leading you down that line, but certainly not the comedy direction of the, 91?
91, yeah.
Version? Okay.
Yeah, like, I mean, if you put Andy Garcia in the 91 one,
and that's also not a comedy.
Real serious. That's not comedy either. That's like he is not happy about whatever's happening. Even as a husband in that one, because it's 30 years ago. Give him a spot. He wouldn't be the dad in that one. Maybe
I got the wrong vibe from the trailer.
I dove right in with that vibe, and it was a cold pool.
All right.
This is a different movie. Okay, fine. Well, let's watch the whole thing. Do it.
Still good though. Okay,
Yeah.
Good but different and ironic to have brought up.
Gloria Estefan, you're saying, played the mother.
I think this might be her first acting
I don't
thing.
feel like she is.
I think this is the first
right.
thing.
So how'd she do?
She was great.
Good.
Killed it.
I know that Andy Garcia and Gloria Estefan are apparently very good friends. So that was part of when he...
They probably chemistry right out of the gate.
Right. When he signed on to do it, he's like, I think she should play my wife. So
that's great.
And she was like, I trust him and will do this because I think he will have my back and this will go well because it's someone that I know and whatever. So that was sort of how that all went down.
Yeah, giving.
They gave like an interview about it. That's how, and not like they called me personally and said, "Catherine, let me tell you the behind the scenes."
They posted on your social media.
Yeah,
right?
they we're super close.
Yeah, a whole conversation back and forth.
Gloria has acted totally a lot, sort of. She's been herself a ton. She did do 2 episodes of Glee.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Okay, good for her.
And
maybe it was this was my first movie. Is that what she might have said? That gave me the impression that it was her first thing?
Maybe, but that wouldn't be true. This might be her first leading role in a movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe.
All right. So really, this was not an accurate representation of that interview.
Well, there you go. But yeah, she did great as far as like playing a fed up with her very successful and father of a lawyer child. Yeah, I'm fed up with this life. I'm out.
Good.
Okay.
And look, I'm glad she did great. She's fantastic, so good for her. All right, cool. John, do you want to go next?
I think I decline.
What do you mean you decline?
I'm good.
You haven't watched anything this week?
We're like 12 shows in. I'm fine.
Okay. Liz, did you have something original you want to like or
Original.
No, well, I did.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I actually went to the movie theater
Oh,
and saw Baz Luhrmann's Elvis.
Oh my God.
Freaking loved it.
All right.
First of all, I mean, I love Baz Luhrmann's whole vibe, his aesthetic that he brings into film. I've seen his Broadway show, Moulin Rouge, and also the one in Vegas, which was, I think, called just Baz. And I've pretty much seen everything he's done all the way back to Strictly Ballroom and all that. So I knew I was in for the razzle dazzle feast for the eyes, which that's what it was.
That's his thing for sure.
Yeah. But then, there was this element of like, are they going to do justice? Can they really portray Elvis in a way that you will be able to suspend disbelief and go on this journey? And Austin Butler, holy beep, he pelvically thrusted himself into this role wholeheartedly. I mean,
He ain't nothing but a hound dog.
No, I mean, first of all, morphed himself as much as he physically, facial expressions and emotions and voice as he could. And supposedly, because of COVID and restrictions and timelines, they shot this in Australia versus, bringing it here to the United States.
It's funny, because I saw it as well, and this is when Tom Hanks and Rita got COVID, but they were already in Australia.
Okay.
They started in like January.
Oh, is that so? They were there shooting
By
in
the time
Australia.
March hit, it was already happening down there.
Well, it seems like Baz really, especially for Austin, who was, for someone like me, because his previous credits were very youth, teen driven and not maybe that also high level of that.
He wasn't really
He
on
was
your
not
radar.
on my radar until I heard the casting news and I was like, who? And then, I think the process was, from what I've read, is, he had to dive deep and get fully immersed into the Elvis world. And he did it. And it's really the story of him and Colonel Parker, played by Tom Hanks, who, wow, Tom Hanks rarely plays such a despicable, dislikable person. And he does it. I mean, you are just like, it is heartbreaking. You're like, if he only could have got away from him, if there was anybody in his circle that just said, hey,
Maybe not great.
and there are things that, like, to think he never toured out of the United States for mostly Colonel Parker reasons and his own limitations. I don't want to spoil, because there are some elements of it that are like, whoa, kind of a little shocking when you find out why, that are just, like I said, you just go, gosh, just no one in his world was strong enough to sort of stand up to Colonel Parker so that Elvis, in a way, could spread his wings outside the U.S. He won him in a particular box. There are moments that he absolutely headbutts against him and does things that, in history, we don't know that anything was behind that. That is pretty cool, because he was very into civil rights and civil leaders and seems to be heartbroken. Martin Luther King or Robert F. Kennedy, they do also timeline elements that were really cool to follow. Like how what was happening in the world was affecting him and the music he chose to sing or perform. So there are going to be Oscar nominations galore. I mean, for sure. Baz will probably be nominated. Austin and Tom, for sure. It's just incredible, just the commitment that they all made to tell the story. And, not supposedly, I did read Priscilla and Lisa Marie
And Riley Keough.
and Riley Q all went to the premiere, and of all
Who's Riley Q?
That's the granddaughter.
they all strongly endorsed it and loved it. And that's not typical, because there have been other, obviously, movies or projects that, have gone on the Elvis train and they've not been endorsed by the family. Now, I will say, asterisk, there's a whitewashing to some degree. They don't really talk about how young Priscilla Presley was when they met, and they do kind of try to put in the context of him being in the military. I read her book way back when, Elvis and Me, and she addresses it. And, I don't want to say like it's a different time and the circumstances, and they supposedly, I'm just going to be totally crass, they did not have sex until they got married. So
Even though she was quite young
Oh
when
my
they
gosh.
met, and it was, yeah.
For sure. I mean, now today, would you say it's grooming? I don't know. Like it's that is something they do not go down very deeply because of like it's a hard topic. So it's like, wow, she was super young, but they met in Germany. Was in on military when he was with the military, and just if that's true, the manipulation of why he got into the military is almost insane because of Colonel Parker. So they kind of, like I said, they definitely skate over that, and then the drugs and alcohol, his demise, because he was so young when he died. I mean, it's
How
crazy.
old was
42.
he?
It's
42.
crazy.
No,
What?
it's alarming to think the impact he had, the career that he had, which was pretty much a 20 plus year span, but that he was so young when he died because, you know, it really took a toll on him the last couple of years, the pills. And I would say really the movie is his ascending to fame and his then settling and deciding basically his relationship with Colonel Parker. Because then John, don't you think the last section of the movie is almost like fast tracked where it's his demise, divorce, all that?
Yeah, it was, I mean, look, it's crazy. You know, he died before I was born, but you think that there's this long period of him being older and out of shape. It's like, no, he died at 42, and that was somewhat of a quick thing that happened. So yes, that last chapter is fairly quick at the end.
Yeah, so it just, you know, and some of the actors are Australian, so because I looked them up, I was like, who played the mother? And it's an Australian actress that, you know, probably has a relationship, or obviously Baz knows of her.
Although the father, Richard Roxburgh, he was in Moulin Rouge. Remember, he was the Count or whatever it was.
Helen Thompson was Gladys, and I thought she did an amazing job. And the B.B. King character was awesome, Calvin Harris Jr. I mean, there was excellent casting, costuming, set design, and Baz Luhrmann's wife, you know, typically does the costume, and I think she also might be production design on this as well, and that is Catherine Martin, and she for sure should be nominated for multiple awards. I think she has won Oscars and he has not yet. So this might be a turning point. We'll see, you know, if the buzz carries on throughout. I think the Austin Butler buzz will not go away. I mean, he deserves an Academy Award nomination for this performance. I just don't know who he'll be up against to say yet whether or not he'll take it home or not. But wow, fantastic. And that is in the movie theaters, everybody. I went to the movies and thoroughly enjoyed it.
In the theater.
You shook your hips all the way to the theater.
Yeah. Well, and I will say there were one or two moments where I don't say like I gasped, but like I almost laughed out loud where you're like, oh my God. Like how spectacular it was. Like the Vegas, when he first did that night in Vegas, you felt like right, John?
I mean, look, Baz has always done a great job with music, but this was fairly incredible. It's like, it felt like you were watching a real lightning in a bottle performance.
And then the Christmas special in the black leather suit. I mean, and the way he would show audience members how they were reacting to him, it just, like I said, I highly, highly recommend it. Is it perfect? No, but it is fantastic as a film. And Austin Butler, like I said, just took that friggin', you know, TCB, took care of business. And
no, it's just funny because they've incorporated that into like the logo and some of the promotional materials. So I was kind of expecting that to be kind of a big deal. And then it got said like one time.
Once or twice. And it was like TCB, taking care of business.
No, I don't even think they did that. It was just someone said like, oh, he should take care of business. And someone else said, take care of business.
Yeah, I mean.
Moving on, it was crazy.
So highly, highly recommend it. Especially if you are of the era at all of him, you're gonna. My mother-in-law, who was like obsessed, is like, "Oh, should I see it?" I'm like,
"Are you kidding? Of course, yeah.
Take a heart pill before you go." But yes, go.
Well, I do. That was one of the weird things. I feel like living through it. I guess maybe you saw the ups and downs and thought that Elvis was over, and then he came back or whatever. But coming after, you're like, no, he's just a superstar. There was no dips or downs.
He was always huge.
So it was interesting to see them thinking that he had that and had to recover.
Well, what's really shocking is to think about his global reach when he never traveled. He never did a concert.
And he's known everywhere.
And then it makes you think what he could have been. I mean, my Lord.
Right, because like even in the global reach and not traveling or doing worldwide shows, there are televised concerts that travel around the world. So he is seen and known and visible live, and you're getting an experience like that Hawaii one.
Yeah, they did a quick thing on that. Was like, well, I didn't let him tour, but I did.
I let him have a live show so people could see him.
Yeah, it was seemingly, they made it, I have not done the research yet of all the things, true, false, slightly different. Though supposedly this is mostly nearly entirely true. But it was like one simulcast concert to like, I don't know, the entire world or 20 cities or something. And they said it was like 1 billion people or something. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was really huge.
I wanted to say this when you talked about the TV special. That was supposed to be the Christmas special. That was when, producer came in, Steve Binder.
Oh,
Dacre Montgomery, our man Billy from Stranger Things.
Yes.
Oh, Billy from Stranger Things.
And it was interesting because Mark was like, who is that guy? Where did I recognize him from?
He had
Billy?
the look was kind of buried somehow.
Yeah. And that little story arc, that's one of those moments you're rooting for Elvis, and Colonel Parker was definitely a virus he could not shake.
Wow, crazy.
Well, they were all into the easy money. That was America.
Oh, yes. And Elvis was used by, I think, a lot of people. Oh, and also there's never really any other woman addressed. It's just about him and Priscilla.
Well, that was the crazy thing. I for sure was like, oh, he was married multiple times. Nope, never.
Nope.
Only one person. So, I mean, separate from girlfriend sleeping with other people, which you did get one specific, like, oh, here's a different girl in his
Right.
bed. But I just couldn't remember, didn't know. I thought there was multiple marriages, but it was like, oh no, there isn't. And just one kid. That's it.
Yeah, because after Priscilla, there were a few women. In fact, it's rumored that the last woman he was with, he was engaged to, but not married. And so they don't go into any of that. So like I said, it is through a certain lens, the Baz Luhrmann lens, but it is fantastic. And Austin Butler, like I said, will be, you heard it here first. No, you haven't. Trust me, you have not. Austin Butler will be nominated for an Oscar.
Breaking
for this.
news.
Yeah, no, it's not breaking news. It's like you just saw someone become a superstar in front of your eyes. So you're like,
Wow,
okay.
good for him.
Okay, very much on a different...
So wait, so there's not going to be a sequel?
No. No. My sister-in-law Dee Dee recommends something called Midnight Mass to our son who's 14, and somehow he got us watching it, and it is horror, and I do not know how I got suckered into it. It's also a particular horror genre that I hate, which is also mixed with religious overtones. And this wasn't even religious. It wasn't even an overtone. It was shove it down your throat. Because Midnight Mass, okay? So it's on Netflix. It says it came out in 2021. So it's not particularly new, but it's not old either. So...
Yeah, only September.
yeah. And... So...
Well, let me just interrupt super quick.
yeah.
I started it and then stopped. So that's how much I know about it. Okay, go on.
Yeah, I don't. Let's put it this way: for most of my family who are chicken shits when it comes to horror, I would not recommend this to you.
You mean your family siblings, as opposed to your family
married- yeah,
unit, who is all into horror, apparently.
Yes, in-law side, husband and in-law and son now are into horror, which to my chagrin. And this falls in that genre. And my siblings, no, this is not anything. It's horror fiction, supernatural, all the description genres that are all no's. But I thought, all right, family watching. I don't know if it's my age now, frayed nerves in the last couple of years. I will fully freaking scream. So in my own house, sitting on my own couch. So that's where I just had to be like, sorry, anybody watching movies with me now or TV shows, and something scary happens. And it's just not like, oh, it is a full on like, and I mean, Mark and Ethan will be on both sides of me, one on each side of me, and they're just like, what is wrong with you? I go, I don't know. It's like I said, my nerves are just frayed for the last couple of years. I can't handle this. So it is one season. I mean, they left a teeny glimmer there could be a second one. I really don't know. It is biblical in its horror nature. It is 7 episodes. I mean, the writers of it did a very good job. Mike Flanagan, he's also, I think, the creator of it. And they lean heavily into scripture, Proverbs, Psalms, everything, And it's really about this small fishing town island. So they're isolated. And what goes wrong basically with their small little church and their father, who's played by Hamish Linklater.
I love him.
And he is great in it. The supporting cast, Kay Siegel and Zach Gilford. And you also, I think you love Rojo Coley, which he plays the sheriff. And there's also a question about being a religious zealot.
Oh, wait, just Raul. Yeah, he was in iZombie. I love him. Okay, so go on. So religious zealot, go on.
I knew you were a fan of his. So there's a character, Bev Keane, who is she's just an assistant at the church, but holy crap, does she take that role seriously. So, there's just all the supporting cast is incredible. One of my faves, Henry Thomas.
Oh, from E.T.
Elliot. Yeah,
Oh.
he's great in it. Annabeth Gish is great. And, like I said, are you a believer and are you not? And why you believe and miracles. But then, like I said, it's a horror. So
It had a very Stephen King vibe to me. Like when I first started watching it, because I watched the whole first episode. I feel like there were a lot of teens in it, but in that first beginning thing.
Yes, but the teens.
That's not really the main story.
It has its arc for sure, but it's not. That's not one of the big story generators, basically.
Yeah, I guess just because it felt very the fishing town element of it, and it felt like Stephen King's area.
Yeah, and I think it's it's a story of redemption as well, because some of the characters, why they come home is driven by guilt or circumstances and choices that you make in your life that put you at the position you are. So multiple layers, and that's basically why I stuck with it, because if it was just a straight horror, because the last 2 episodes get really hairy, that I think if it had been like that the whole time, I don't know if I would have had the balls for it. So
You would have lost it.
yeah, but Midnight Mass on Netflix, you must like horror, but it is worth it because
Maybe I'll revisit.
it is not your jam.
Oh, okay.
No, it is not your jam.
Okay.
No.
What are you, silly?
No. And it's, there's a tension underlying the entire time because, things are coming. Things do start happening. There's slow builds for things. So anxiety inducing.
Maybe you could just tell me all about it, and that would satisfy my...
Isn't that what's happening now?
Yes, aren't I doing that? I'm trying not to. I'm trying not to spoil it for other people, but
No, don't talk
Like
about
a
it more now.
fully spoiled
You want
explainer.
to beat by beat.
Yes.
You're silly. Just forget about it.
No, now I really want to know what happens.
Well, like I said, Midnight
Okay, well,
Mass.
I feel like off the show, let's go for a walk and you can tell me the entire episode by episode, everything that happened, so I don't have to watch it. But I want to watch it right now, so that's...
As Anthony Kiedis would say, that would be a waste of time.
But Hamish Linklater is the lead in it, and he is pretty awesome.
God, I loved him on The New Adventures of Old Christine. That's where I know him from, and it's so ridiculous, but he was so great on that.
And I will say a big shout out to the makeup artist. I'm not sure who it was, but there's something that happens that requires, with all the characters, that the makeup department must have worked overtime.
They were challenged.
Oh, yeah. Because it is, there's something you go, wait, is this happening? I think it is happening. They do, subtlety is another thing I will say. The first couple episodes, they really rope you in on Crockett Island. And then, like I said, the last 2 are just like, I think I out loud screamed probably 3 or 4 times.
Yikes. Okay.
No. So, and the other thing I wanted to talk about, which I think we should do on Patreon, and I just want to ask, anybody else see Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness?
No, but I'm getting prepared for it because I've got all that Marvel backlog. But I was like, well, let me at least watch the last Doctor Strange, so I have that in my head before I watch the new one. And then I didn't have.
I don't know if it will.
It doesn't matter. It's more like getting into the right mood because I watch a lot of shows that are not Marvel. So you're like, what's going on in Marvel? Oh, right. They're not doing the time travel yet. Okay.
Because this is what I was going to say, even to Westworld, the Umbrella Academy. I'm just going to say something. And maybe controversial. Enough with these freaking multi-universes and thinking all of us can keep track of all this shit. It is so ridiculous. Ethan, who is younger, maybe more nimble mind, he is seemingly keeping up with it. I look over, Mark is asleep 90% of the time with all these shows now because it's just too much. And it's also requiring you to go back and watch other shows before it to remember what happened, because otherwise you don't understand the references or even what they're referring to. And you're like, wait, is that a little Easter egg referring to 7 movies before or season 1, episode 2? Like, what the hell? I mean, it's too layered. It's too layered.
I did see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I will disagree.
Okay, Patreon. All right, Patreon.
Okay.
We'll Patreon that. Okay. Well, we could wrap it up there, I think. So I brought up a bunch of stuff that is still in progress and a bunch of us are watching. So Westworld on HBO, which is in progress. Umbrella Academy, which has dropped. The whole season has dropped, but I'm in progress on it and Liz is in progress on it. So we'll check back on that. Only Murders in the Building, which is in progress on Hulu. So only a couple episodes have been made available at this point. Oh, you know what I meant to bring up? I meant to bring up, still in progress for me, Stranger Things, because I tried to finish, but I realized these next 2 episodes, one is an hour and a half and the other one is 2.5 hours. I was like, I can't, what?
Yeah, we can't bring it up now, but I watched this second drop of the last season. I've watched the first episode.
Okay.
Then I did the same thing as you and realized it's 2.5 hours,
much.
which I am so excited to watch. But
Absolutely.
I do not want to stop. I don't want to start and stop it. And all 3 of us are watching it together. So
Okay, so we'll do a check back on that
Yeah.
as well. Okay, and then Ed.
I watched Father of the Bride, which is on HBO Max.
John, you declined.
You declined.
So I watched Midnight Mass, which I just looked up the poster and it said, "Be Not Afraid," which is that song. Be not afraid.
Oh my God, it's that song.
I go before thee always. I mean, I'm telling you. And also it also
See, now
it
you're
also
making me
plays
wanna
into the hot
watch it.
priest thing too, because the hot priest thing, I'm just telling you, there's a lot of layers here. So Midnight Mass on Netflix. No, Catherine, it's not made for you.
Okay, well, stop making it sound so good.
And then highly, highly, highly recommend Elvis by Baz Luhrmann, a Baz Luhrmann film by Baz. And I did also, John, by the way, see Jurassic Park, the latest one, in the movie theaters. And my big takeaway, once again, Jeff Goldblum. He's freaking awesome.
That's why we did a huge fans episode on him.
I'm not going to get too much more into it because it's just, you know.
You can talk about it on Patreon.
Yeah, but Jeff Goldblum,
He's the best.
oh, he's so good.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode of What We're Watching. Thank you for listening. And you can follow us on all of our social media at Podcast Watching. And obviously, we just referred to our Patreon. We have a Patreon. You can join us there, become a patron. We would really appreciate that. And you can hear both shows that we don't really like and also other things that we need to talk about beyond this podcast. Okay. So thank you for listening to What We're Watching.